right, so let's get into this one. It's this absolutely wild story of, well, it's about interplanetary adventure, but also a huge misunderstanding. Where a simple hunt for a snack spirals into a fight for your life, a forced marriage, and, yeah, a super high-stakes game of golf. Seriously.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break down the story of Captain Geronimo Stiltonomics. It's one of those adventures that starts with, just one little crisis, and then it just snowballs into a total catastrophe. It is the perfect example of one bad thing leading to another, and then another. So where does it all kick off? Well, our story begins not with some huge explosion, but with a grumble. You know the kind. Specifically, a cosmically hungry captain aboard the spaceship Mouse-Star 1.
Yeah, it all started with a problem I think we can all relate to: an empty fridge. Captain Stiltonix hears this rumbling sound and his first thought is, "Oh no, alien invaders!" But then he realizes the horrible truth. Nope, that's just his stomach. And let me tell you, out in a vacuum of space, an empty fridge, especially one without cheese, that becomes a full-blown emergency real fast. So he starts looking around. He checks the Space Yum Cafe, the Galaxy Mart, the Cosmic Bakery, you name it. And every single food outlet on the ship is closed. And you want to know why? They've all run out of cheese. Now, this isn't just, a minor problem. For a ship full of mice, this is an absolute disaster. It's so bad, the ship's computer even issues a yellow alert.
Okay, so just as this total cheeseless panic is about to take over the whole ship, something way more important pops up. A video message appears on the main screen. It's two aliens, Sergeant Solar and Lieutenant Lunar, and their ship has completely broken down. They are stranded, and they desperately need help.
So, of course, the Space Mice crew jumps right into action. They manage to rescue the aliens, but their ship, yeah, it's a total loss. It's completely out of this strange, unidentifiable fuel they use. The only option left? They have to tow them all the way home to their planet, the mysterious planet Flurkon.
But here's where things get a little weird. As they get closer to the planet, the aliens they rescued don't seem happy to be going home. At all. In fact, they look terrified. They keep moaning about being thrown into something they call the terrible Flurk. So you're left wondering, what is the Flurk? And why does it sound so bad?
Okay, so to actually land on the planet, the ship's mechanic has an idea. Hey, let's try out this brand new piece of tech, the Teletransportix. Captain Geronimo is, well, let's just say he's not thrilled. I mean, the whole idea of having your molecules zapped across space is pretty fur-raising, especially when your mechanic says she's only, and I quote, practically almost sure it's going to work. Yikes.
Thankfully, they do rematerialize in one piece, and bam, they're on this strange new world. Right away, they're met by a group of aliens, and they're led by their queen. And just kind of looming over this whole scene is this giant volcano, just spewing out this thick yellow lava, which looks suspiciously familiar.
All right, let's see how this welcome goes from just being a little tense to, well, let's just say it gets really complicated.
So Captain Geronimo, being the good guy he is, tries to politely ask for mercy for the two aliens they rescued. But Queen Stella, she isn't listening to a word of it. She takes one look at him and immediately starts calling him Jerry and decides she is head over heels in love. This just completely throws the whole mission off the rails.
The Queen then makes Geronimo an offer he literally cannot refuse. The deal is, enjoy a nice banquet, then you'll propose to me, and we'll get married. Simple, right? Oh, and the alternative? If you don't, I'll throw your entire crew into that big volcano of Flurk. Yeah, talk about an intragalactic nightmare. So, they're trapped. The crew has zero choice but to accept this invitation to a banquet in a huge castle. And as they're walking up to it, they start to notice something. Everything, the towers, the walls, even the sculptures, it all seems to be made of this strange yellow stuff that smells a lot like, you guessed it, cheese. And this right here is the absolute central misunderstanding of the whole story. The Flurkonians explain that this yellow stuff from the volcano is called Flurk. When it's hot, it's spaceship fuel. When it cools down, it gets hard, and they use it to build literally everything. The one thing it is not for, eating. Absolutely not food. So this is where you have this massive collision between cultural confusion and a really empty stomach.
Remember Geronimo's cousin, Trap? He's still starving from that whole cheese emergency back on the ship. He can't help himself. He's surrounded by what looks like a cheese paradise, so he takes a giant bite out of his dinner plate. And the Flurkonians are absolutely horrified. It's just a perfect example of how one culture's priceless building material is another culture's gourmet snack.
The queen is beyond furious. She orders Trap to be thrown in the volcano right then and there. To save his cousin, Geronimo has to think fast, which, of course, just leads to the next disaster.
So, thinking on his feet, Geronimo just blurts out that his cousin isn't being rude, he's a great magician. He says Trap will perform a magic act to make it up to the queen. And Trap, who's always up for a show, is like, yeah, let's do it.
For the grand finale, Trap announces he's going to make the queen's super valuable crown disappear. He puts it in his hat, taps his wand, and poof, it's gone. The problem is, the trick works a little too well. When he tries to make it reappear, the crown is just gone. It has vanished for real.
Well, the Queen's grand advisor, this guy named Nova, who's been suspicious of Geronimo from the start, he immediately points the finger and accuses them of being thieves. With the crown missing, the Queen doesn't really have a choice. She has to agree. So the entire crew gets thrown into the dungeon, which, in a pretty great twist of irony, is also made of pure cheese.
So, let's recap. The crew is trapped, time is running out, and now their fate comes down to a completely unexpected contest.
The queen, she's torn between her advisor and her new crush, Geronimo. So she declares that a high-stakes game of golf will decide everything. It's going to be Geronimo versus Nova. And oh yeah, Nova just so happens to be the planet's reigning golf champion, so no pressure or anything.
So while Geronimo is out there struggling on the golf course, his nephew Benjamin and his friend Bugsy are launching a jailbreak. Since they're the smallest, they can squeeze through a tunnel that the rest of the crew has basically eaten through the prison wall. Their mission is simple: find that missing crown, find the real thief, and clear their names before the game is over. It all comes down to the final hole. Geronimo is about to lose, and that means a nice hot lava bath for the whole crew. The queen is just about to declare Nova the winner when the kids burst in and they're holding the lost crown. So where was it? It was hidden under the Grand Advisor Nova's own desk the whole time.
And that brings everything full circle, doesn't it? This whole huge interplanetary incident. We're talking a marriage ultimatum, grand theft, a golf duel for your life. All of it started because of an empty fridge. It really makes you wonder, right? How many of our biggest problems, our biggest conflicts, start just because we see the world, or a strange yellow substance, in completely different ways?